Hello, friends. My name is Michelle Fondin, and I'm the author of Help! I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic, a survival guide for lovers, family, and friends. In the last video, I spoke to you on how to determine if your loved one is indeed an alcoholic and suffers from the addiction of alcoholism. Today, we're going to talk about enabling versus caring, or you could reverse that, caring versus enabling. So it seems like enabling is such an ugly word. It's given such a bad connotation. And when I hear it, I'm like, oh, I just cringe when I think about that. And so, I'd hate to think of myself as an enabler. It just sounds so awful, and it sounds so terrible, and it sounds so dysfunctional, if you will. The unfortunate part is, when you're in a relationship with an alcoholic loved one, with someone who is afflicted with a disease of alcoholism, whether that person be your mother, your father, your sister, brother, your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, it could be your best friend or your son and daughter, whatever that dynamic is, whatever that relationship is, unfortunately, alcoholism is a disease of relationship, among other things, but it is a disease of relationship. So it's a social disease, meaning that the interrelatedness of the disease of alcoholism is what keeps the dynamic of alcoholism going. It's a very, very bizarre thing. It is unlike any other disease in that fashion, meaning that there are no other diseases that I can think of that somebody else can directly affect the actual disease on an ongoing basis. Okay? So the disease of alcoholism and addiction, because drug addiction, drug dependence, alcohol is a drug, but it works the same way, meaning that the alcoholic needs people who enable him to keep drinking. Okay? And the numbers that I've seen out there are around 8 people, around 8 enablers per alcoholic or per drug addict. Those numbers obviously can vary depending on the person, but the number on average is anywhere between 5 and 8 people that keep this addiction going. Now, it can be so confusing because you're like, you know what, I'm a caring person, I'm a loving person, I love my family, I love my friends, I'm really good in relationships, I'm good at loving and caring, and that's what I do. And in my specific spiritual belief, in my religious belief, you are to care for others, and you're to love each other, and you're to give to each other, and you're to help each other, and you're to make each other's lives better, more fulfilling. And that's a part of being in a relationship. And my answer to you is yes, absolutely. And that is caring. So caring is that aspect of relationship where you are giving of yourself and you help in the dynamic of the relationship by being your best self, by putting your best foot forward, and by helping others, and by loving and caring and being affectionate and giving. However, that is only one side of the relationship. The other side of the relationship is reciprocity, meaning that the other person in the relationship must reciprocate. And so relationships are not about giving, and not receiving. It's not about, here, take everything I have, and you're not giving anything back. And so the reciprocity of it is the piece that's the issue, that's the problem here. Now, I'm not telling you that your alcoholic loved one is not giving back to you. I can attest to the fact that my alcoholic loved one was very giving at times, was very loving at times, and was very caring at times. However, it lacked consistency, meaning that there was no consistency as to when he would be giving, when he would be loving, when he would be caring, because the alcohol always got in the way. So let's talk a little bit about what enabling is. And I need to find another word for that because I really don't like that word. But for the sake of understanding the concept, let's just understand the concept here. And in our life, we all have responsibilities. We need to accomplish certain tasks. We need to work to make money, to pay our bills, to take care of our families, to have fun, to give to charities, to nourish our lives. That's one of our responsibilities. We need to contribute to society, to give back in a way, to help make society a little bit better. That's another responsibility that we have. We have responsibilities to our families and children, helping them to nurture and grow. And we have responsibilities maybe in our household daily tasks. So we have a lot of diverse responsibilities that we have as adults in life. Now, all of us are supposed to carry our own burdens, meaning that we're supposed to carry our daily burdens. And there's a great book out there called Boundaries by Dr. Cloud, and there's another Townsend and Cloud. And they talk about it being knapsacks or, backpacks. So everybody has their daily backpack. And you carry around your daily backpack with your daily stuff. You usually don't ask somebody else to carry your daily backpack because it's your stuff. So whether you have to go to the grocery store or whether you have to, clean the house or take care of your kids, obviously in partnerships, some of those responsibilities are shared, but meaning that you have your list, you have your to-do list, you have your daily stuff that you need to accomplish each and every day, and you do it. And you're usually not asking other people to accomplish your entire daily list for you. A person who's addicted tries to take their knapsack or their backpack and they try to give it to other people. And the reason why they do this is because they need to give in to the obsession of drinking. It is the only thing that occupies their mind all of the time. When they can get the next drink, when they can do their next binge, how they can accomplish their time in a way that they can start drinking again. So that is their only focus. So that being said, they will do anything and everything they can to get to that point. And that includes pawning off their own responsibilities onto other people in order to get this accomplished. So it's kind of normal for an alcoholic loved one to be like, oh, nobody helps me with my house. I really need help. And so you go over there and you clean her house. Or, gosh, I'm not making enough money. These people, this job, they never want to give me a raise. And I really need money for groceries. And you run over there and you give her money for groceries. Or I really need a ride, my car's always breaking down, I don't have the money to fix it, and then you drive him somewhere or you give him a car. So those are the types of things that as people who enable alcoholics and are loving and caring people that they tend to do. And those are the things that you must not do. And it can, it can be super confusing because you're like, what? Like, I'm not supposed to be nice and I'm not supposed to be caring and I'm not supposed to be giving? Like, that doesn't make any sense according to my morals and my values. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so let's phrase this in another way. When you help your alcoholic loved one in any way, you are actually helping the alcohol and the alcoholism and not the person who is drinking, not the person who's abusing of alcohol or who has the disease of alcoholism. You're not helping him or her. You're actually helping the alcohol. And so just if you put things into perspective that way, then you can stop helping your alcoholic and you can start allowing him or her to come to the realization that the burden of life is too much and that he or she needs to change in order for this burden to be lifted. So basically backpacks can be pretty heavy if you've ever gone on a picnic or a hike and, you have a few water bottles in there and you have the picnic lunch and you have maybe a first aid kit. And, if you're carrying around that backpack, it can get quite heavy. And so, but if somebody else is carrying it for you, you don't even realize the heaviness of it. And it's the same thing with your alcoholic loved one. He doesn't realize how heavy the burden is because he's always handing it off to somebody else. And so what he needs is he needs to realize the heaviness of that burden and come to the realization that, hey, my life is way out of control here. And the only way he's going to do that is by finding out himself. And they call that hitting rock bottom. Now, some alcoholics have very high bottoms. Some alcoholics have very low bottoms. Some alcoholics who are extremely functional may kind of bounce along the bottom for a really long time. But the less you do for him or her, the faster they're going to get there. And that includes giving them money. Don't ever, ever, ever give money, not even a penny, not even a dime to an alcoholic. And this isn't to punish them. It's not to be mean. It's not that at all. It's just think of it as climbing the stairs to sobriety. Like, one of the stairs to sobriety is not giving them money, not doing things for them that they can do for themselves. That's a second stair to sobriety. Meaning, like, if they can do their laundry by themselves, there's no way you should ever be doing it. Do not give them a place to live. Now, obviously, if it's your spouse, that's a totally different story. If it's your spouse, you're obligated by the vows of marriage. And, that's like a whole other series of videos right there. But if it's your adult child, if it's your son or daughter who is over the age of 18 years old and they have a drinking problem, they're an alcoholic, and it might seem heartless and cruel to make them leave, but they need to leave. They need to feel the burden of their own lives on their own shoulders, okay? That means you don't give them food, you don't give them groceries, you don't pay their bills, you don't give them rides, you're not the designated driver. That was one of the things with my alcoholic loved one is since I don't drink, of course, I was always the designated driver, meaning that I never found a time in the evening where I got picked up by my alcoholic loved one. I was never, picked up. I had to drive. I had to drive all the way there, all the way back. And it was a big burden on me, and it should not have been. That task is something that should be shared. In a relationship. You've got to think about everything that you're doing for your alcoholic loved one. And all those things that you're doing, you just need to stop. And the burden is so much lighter on you then, because you're giving the burden back to them. You're giving that backpack, that heavy, heavy backpack right back to them. You're saying, here, this is not mine anymore. This is not mine. I don't need to take this anymore. And then you feel free. Yeah. You feel free that you don't have to carry this burden anymore. It's not your burden. Now, the other thing in enabling is, and this is a downfall, and this is obviously the topic of a whole other video. Enabling makes us, the people who love the addict, the people who love an alcoholic, it makes us deny our own wants, needs, and desires. And so a lot of times it's a lot less painful to focus on somebody else rather than focus on ourselves. And so when we're out there being the hero, I'm the hero, woo, I'm rescuing you now. I'm going to go pay your mortgage, and I'm going to give you a ride, and I'm going to give you some money, and I'm going to buy you groceries, and I'm going to make you some food. When we're out there being the hero, we don't have to pay attention to our own lives and our own problems, and then our lives come out of control. And so one of the greatest things about giving the backpack back to your alcoholic loved one is, guess what? You need to take care of your own life now, and you get to take care of your own life, and you get to see, wow, okay, yeah, I kind of let my life run out of control here. But you get your life back. And so that's one of the other things. And it's not being mean. It's not being cruel. You're not punishing. Just keep that in perspective. Keep it in perspective that by letting go and allowing your alcoholic loved one to have his backpack back or her backpack back, what you're doing is you're allowing him or her to climb the steps towards sobriety. So just look at it that. That way, he or she is climbing the steps toward sobriety. As long as you're helping, that's not happening. But when you stop helping, it'll start to happen. I know the last but not least is since the alcoholic loved one has 5 to 8 people also enabling him or her, is there a chance that other people are going to pick up the reins and just take that backpack away? Yeah, that's quite a possibility. How do you handle this? The best way to handle it is if people ask you and say, "This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. I'm letting him have his stuff back. I'm not helping anymore because I know that by helping, I'm enabling the alcoholism and not helping the person." And that's all you need to do. I mean, it's really hard to try to say to other people, "Hey, you need to do this because I'm doing this." And we do have a tendency to do that as these really loving, helping people, right? And but the best way to do that is just to say, "You know what, this is what I'm doing. This seems to work for me. So maybe you could do that too." So I'm wishing you tons of blessings. Have a beautiful day, and God bless.